I met Jerry at a party, just out of the blue. I didn't think he was the coolest guy in the world or anything. Had no family in the area, so he's kind of struggling, didn't have any money or a place to stay or anything. And me being completely drunk, just offered this total stranger a place to stay and clothes and food and musical instruments, and 2 days later he moved his stuff up into the rehearsal room that I was working to, and he got himself a little 4-track and kind of started out there writing and jamming with some people. He was playing with some guys that I thought weren't up to par with the music he was writing, and I remember meeting Mike and Sean prior to that. Mike Starr, by the way, was wearing a bathrobe, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat on a Honda motorcycle. So I just, I don't know why, but those two guys popped into mind. It was about 2 years later when the whole thing with Jerry was happening. And, I remember that they were really cocky and overly confident, and I said, why don't you give these guys a try, It clicked right away.
We're going to play a video. This is from you guys. This is Alice in Chains, Man on the Box, and we'll be back with Alice in Chains.
Oh, now you've done it, Rich. Security! Now you've done it.
I'm dumbfounded by me all the time. Wow, what a thrill and joy.
Are you happy?
I was getting to that.
What do you think about women in rock?
They're great.
Which ones are great? Which would be your favorite? Say like a Lita Ford, a Barbara Streisand?
Oh, the ones with all access passes on.
Let's just fucking, they can't tell us what to do, man. Let's just fucking, these 7 songs are good enough.
Explain your wardrobe, your motif.
Well, we take a day at the water park very serious. We don't mess around.
And any comments on your summer motif?
I feel great.
I'm not.
Hey, Sean, did you get that part in that horror movie?
What horror movie?
Hey, didn't you used to play with the Village People as well?
A short stint as a construction guy.
Oh, okay.
Just, I got booted for, it was musical differences.
Thank you very much and good night.
In August of 1990, Alice in Chains' first major label debut, Facelift, releases, and very quickly, the guys in Alice in Chains become a household name. Matter of fact, we could actually say that they were probably more popular before Soundgarden, before Nirvana, before any of those bands. It really was Alice in Chains who made it big first. However, Alice is a bit different because it wasn't just their music that helped them to obtain this level of notoriety. It was their personalities. In the early 90s, you may have watched shows like Tim Allen on Home Improvement, Urkel on Family Matters, or Jesse on Full House. But if you were into grunge and metal, there was another half-hour comedy show that you might have been watching called Headbangers Ball with Alice in Chains. The guys from Alice did not shy away from a camera, and because of their charisma, their energy, their constant cracking jokes, their trolling each other, their pranking each other, it became this half-hour comedy show on MTV's Headbangers Ball. You see them at the water park in their swimsuits goofing off. You see them in French Quarter, New Orleans, Mardi Gras. You see them even in Frankfurt, Germany, on Europe's edition of MTV's Headbangers Ball, Lollapalooza, you name it, the viewers of MTV loved the guys from Alice. And over time, they just organically turn into these caricatures that we would tune into to watch every week. They become guest hosts on MTV. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is possibly even before MTV's first reality show, The Real World, which to my knowledge was the very first reality show. These caricatures that these guys were playing were themselves, and they seem like guys you would want to hang out with. We get to know these guys, and we feel like we know them, like they could be one of our friends. They're goofy, they have sort of boyish banter with each other. Sometimes a lot of bravado and machoism, sometimes perverted jokes, but it was an acceptable thing then. And for guys who were fans of the genre, you sort of felt like you really knew them. I remember my older stepbrother and I tuning in to see what the guys from Alice in Chains would do next. I also remember my oldest stepsister not much caring for Alice in Chains because of some perverted comment that she had heard them make. Even the name itself, Alice in Chains, could be a little off-putting to some females. Layne's mother, Nancy herself, did not like the name. It's actually why in the beginning they were called Alice in Chains, Alice and Chains, because it sounded less gross to Nancy than Alice in Chains. And keep that in mind real quick, that Layne respected his mother enough that he would even change his band name to appease her. If you were a feminist in the early 90s, you might have shied away from Alice in Chains a little bit. It may have been a bit too metal, it may have been a bit too alpha male, maybe some might say even a bit too 80s mentality. Keeping in mind we're coming right out of the 80s. These guys came of age in the 80s, so it would be natural for them to have a little bit of remnants left over. But deep down, you could tell these guys had good hearts about them. They weren't like Axl Rose. There was something different. There was something in between Axl Rose and Kurt Cobain. A happy medium, if you will. Matter of fact, I'll bring your attention to an interview that I came across while researching for this video, in which a woman, Vanessa Warwick of Europe's MTV Headbangers Ball, puts the guys from Alice in Chains in check. Remember, Jerry was raised by his grandmother Dorothy and his mother Gloria. Layne had a very close connection with his mother Nancy. Through all the bravado and machoism, they respected women. But one thing the guys loved to do more than anything was troll interviewers with ridiculous answers to their questions.
Sappy songs, acoustic songs. I had a dream, a vision. I'm a visionary. I'm way ahead of my time.
So that's a true story then?
That's a true story.
Do you think that a true definition of the Seattle scene is not really the type of music that is coming out there, but more of the fact that there seems to be like a lot of camaraderie and friendship and like respect between the bands?
It's that, and I think it's actually, the main part is the fashion statement. It's not really the music, it's just the flannel shirts and cutoffs that have really put it over the top, you know. It's kind of a fashion thing. We're all fashion whores.
Throughout this very long interview, the guys just keep trolling Vanessa. They're not giving her serious answers, they're not taking her seriously, and she tolerates it up to a point until they push it too far.
Incestuous type of scene, you know.
It must have been great to have been part of that, because it's obviously going to go down in like rock history.
I slept with Chris Cornell.
I slept with Stone.
We both.
He was like 2 minutes of pure manhood.
Pure loving. Stone Gossard, 2 minutes of just.
Well, I'm trying to maintain the seriousness of this interview.
Pause it right there. You can see both Layne and Sean are looking up at the ceiling. This is body language talking to you. They are uncomfortable. She has just put them in check. Even though it was a very subtle statement, well, I'm trying to maintain the seriousness of this interview. They know that they've pushed her too far. They feel uncomfortable about it. At the very same time, they both avert their gaze from her and look up at the ceiling. This is a huge sign that they regret pushing her this far. And although they may not be that happy about being put in check by somebody who wants to interview them, after all, there is that rock and roll ego, you know, I'm the one getting your network ratings. Why are you giving me shit? they do respect her. Notice how the camera pans to Vanessa to get away from the look on Sean Keeney's face. So why do I even bring this up? It seems like a tiny detail no one would care about. Well, to me, it tells me a little bit about Sean Keeney and Layne Staley. They respect women. Do you think if Axl Rose was sitting in that booth, if Vanessa Warwick said, I'm trying to maintain the seriousness of this interview, do you think Axl Rose would have just sat there uncomfortably and looked away and then began answering her questions seriously, which they do? From there on out, they start giving her real answers. No, he would have said, well, F you then, and got up and walked away. This tells me that these guys, with all the machoism and the bravado and the perverted jokes and all that, deep down, they respect women. Layne was very close to his mother, Nancy. Jerry was raised by his grandmother, Dorothy, and his mother, Gloria. These are guys who, there's two sides to them, but when you get down to the core, they're just down-to-earth, respectful guys. And that's what people love about them. To this day, that's what people love about these guys. They feel like people you could just hang out with. They feel like your friends. Furthermore, in the beginning, they had a female manager. It was their choice. They chose a strong woman, Susan Silver, to be their band manager. I'd just like to point out that, although superficially on the surface, they might seem a little bit cocky and arrogant, but that's all just for show. That's not really who Alice in Chains was. From 91 to 93, they become a staple on the waves of MTV. They become household names. People get to know them. They become almost a half-hour comedy show.
With Layne and Mike from Alice in Chains. Kim, we got any interesting road stories you can tell us?
Oh, Layne and the cow? Forget about it.
Well, I mean stuff that happens that's out of the ordinary.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
And then they just disappear. This leads to fans becoming worried that their favorite band will never reconnect again. This leads to journalists and critics starting rumors in the media. It leads to the song Nutshell. We chase misprinted lies. From 93 to 96, the only way that you would have seen Layne Staley is if A, you went to the Moore Theater and caught his band Mad Season play a show, which I believe is on DVD, or B, you were walking around U District or Capitol Hill and happened to cross his path. He becomes a hermit, and people become very, very concerned for Layne Staley. In 1995, 2 years after Layne's sudden disappearance, he explains in an interview exactly why he needed to go on hiatus. And yes, of course, we all know that there was addiction involved, but addiction was not the main reason.
Interviews just kind of got stupid. It was like, instead of finding out something new about the band that the last journalist didn't find out, it was more like, how can I reword what the last guy wrote so it sounds like an even harsher attack, but it's written more eloquently. Everyone I was getting interviewed by, and the other guys that were searching for a snazzy way to write an insult, and disguise it. And I was just tired of it. Nobody wanted to know about the music. They wanted to know, are you getting fucked up? Are you gay? Are you dying of AIDS? I'm usually the last to hear that I'm dying of AIDS or whatever it is.
The very same media that made the guys in Alice in Chains a household name now wants to tear them down. And at first, Layne Staley is just so sick of it that he's like, I'm not even going to respond to this. They can say whatever they want. I don't care. I'm just going to live my life. And, those journalists can do whatever the hell they want to do. But in 95, he's sick of it. And he wants to tell them, you're wrong. I've been working this whole time.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. And that kind of gave me an idea of how we were getting viewed, and that makes me want to come out and let people know that we're here, we're all right. The band was having troubles, and we kind of split apart for a while. I guess people the same people who put you on the pedestal are just dying to fucking tear you down and write about it first. That wasn't happening with me. The guy who's supposed to fall down and be at death's bed and, I don't know, doing whatever people wanted to think I was doing. That guy was, making records and getting his artwork into gallery shows. I was doing what people didn't expect. You know, I was working, and if people want to interview me or talk to me, I want to tell them, you know, that's what I'm doing.
So Layne wasn't just sitting in his university district condo getting effed up all the time. He was making a record with Mark Lanegan. They had performed at the Moore Theater. He had made a DVD. He even goes on to say he's writing a book. He's writing new music where he wants to play all the instruments himself and produce it, record it, produce it, everything himself. This is not a guy who's just sitting around getting effed up. He is still working. He's still being creative. We often look at people who are creative as lazy because they're doing it in their apartment and they're not getting in a car and going to McDonald's and getting coffee and driving to work and punching the clock. And, you know, if it's not a 9 to 5, then it's not a job. Well, for a person like Layne Staley, his intellectual property is up here and he can express it in many different ways. In this 95 interview, he also expresses gratitude toward the fans. He says he wants to win an award, but listen to why he wants to win the award.
I'd like to win one of the nominations we often get with this band, you know. I'd like to be able to walk up on stage and thank the people that I owe thanks to.
So it's a camaraderie thing. He's not saying I want to win an award so I can put it on my shelf and boost my ego. I want to win an award so the people who followed us and bought our records and came to our shows can feel like we're their champion. We've won something. We've accomplished something, and it's all thanks to you. When is the last time you heard a rock star say that they wanted to win an award so they could walk up on stage and thank their fans for putting them in that position? Of course, they all say it after they win the award because they feel like they have to. It's a must. When have you ever heard a rock star say it before they won the award? That tells me that Layne Staley did think about his fans. He was appreciative of his real fans.
You know, walk away with that award. That's something I'd like to do. I've written a lot of music for a project that I've been trying to get off the ground. Write and record and produce my own record and play all the instruments. And I started and I kind of quit halfway through, and I think I'm gonna get back to that and finish that. And I want to write a book, which I've been working on for a long time, for about 5 years now. You know, I want to put that together and make that a reality.
The next time we would hear from Layne Staley wouldn't be until '96, when they hit the waves of international music television. To say that this show was highly anticipated, huge understatement. Journalists were writing articles doubting that Layne Staley would even show up, that he would even have enough health left in his body to fly there and sit on a stool, let alone give the performance he gave. I believe that come hell or high water, Layne was going to make it there. We know this because he was withdrawing only moments before the show began. He was going to perform at his best, even if it killed him. And to Layne, it was a big middle finger to all of those journalists who had put him down, saying he was dying of AIDS, he was gay, he was this, he was that, he was washed up. Layne was thinking, okay, motherfuckers, just wait and see. I'm gonna give you a show. And boy, did he give us a show.